Signs of Soul Connections in Astrology Part 14. And today we're going to talk about Pluto in Twin Flame and Divine Counterpart connections. Yeah, it's not a very long video, but we're going to talk about Pluto or 8th house in Divine Counterpart connections, because Pluto and the 8th house are related, you could say. It's both connected to Scorpio energy. And then we're going to talk about Pluto connections in Synastry. So let's start with Pluto or the 8th house in Divine Counterpart connections. So Pluto, it plays an important role in Twin Flame and some other Divine Counterpart connections. I wrote some other because not every Divine Counterpart connection is very transformative. It depends on what your souls decided to come here. Some are just extremely harmonious. There's people who either didn't have a lot of shadow work to do and they met, and you know, like soul twins often, they meet and it's very harmonious from the beginning and they don't have this massive transformation that Pluto brings. So not every Divine Counterpart. Also, soulmates can divine counterparts too, and not every soulmate connection also has this big transformation. Some are just like, job well done, you know, you cleared some of your shadows and now you have your forever person, and it's less connected to some kind of spiritual awakening and deep healing and the early shadow healing. Not every soul chose to do that. For that reason, not every Divine Counterpart connection has Pluto connections in astrology. But when you know what a twin flame is, it is all about the inner journey. It is all about transformation, healing, shadow work, evolving, ascending, and that is so much connected to Pluto in astrology. So of course it makes complete sense that twin flames have Pluto contacts. You could basically say it's a must for true twin flames. And when I say Pluto, of course it could be 8th house connections as well. You know, it doesn't have to be Pluto contacts, but it could be somebody's personal planet falling into the other person's 8th house. But we're going to talk more about that in this video. So yeah, why? Pluto is connected to Scorpio in the 8th house and therefore the planet of the strongest possible emotions. Also, of course, transformation. Scorpio is the sign of deepest emotions, which is kind of weird, to be honest. And Scorpios, they live in deserts and not even close to the water. But still, Scorpio is the strongest emotion. Pisces energy is more like scattered. I'm connected to everyone. Cancer energy, I have like a circle in my mind. Cancer energy is very much connected to their loved ones, their family or their chosen family. And Scorpio, it's very much internal emotions and very fixed. Scorpio is a fixed sign, so they are usually fixed on a small number of people, whereas Cancer and Pisces, they're more connected to more people, and Pisces of course the most, because they don't have any clear boundaries and they have these connections with many people. But Scorpio is the deepest possible emotions. This planet Pluto represents depth, the extremes, the dark and the light, soul contracts as well, past lives, the mystical, astrology as well, the occult, and also our primal emotions like sexuality. But also it can be anger. And you know, anger could be more connected to the 1st house. It is the masculine side of Aries. You know, Scorpio is ruled by Aries and Pluto. So anger would be more connected to Mars. But yeah, our primal emotions, that stuff that comes up like all of a sudden, where rationality plays no part in. And also Pluto is connected to our fears and our ability to rise above them. Symbolically, Pluto is connected to the Scorpion in lower vibration. You know, you should never argue with a Scorpio. Scorpio energy, when it is unawakened and still in darkness, can be very vindictive. They don't get mad easily. It usually takes a while for them to get mad because, again, fixed sign. They're not as explosive as Aries people, who get mad really fast and then, yeah, leave that madness or the anger behind them really fast. They can drop that. No, for Scorpio, it's more like a slow build up. And once you've reached that point, that turning point, don't mess with a Scorpio. I'm a Mars and Scorpio, so I kind of know a little bit of that, even though I've never been vindictive in my life because I have other things in my chart that would contradict that. But Scorpio in low vibration, yeah, Scorpion, it has this sting, you know, and that can be very hurtful. Then the eagle is the more awakened version. It's somebody who is more connected to their higher self, and they left the low vibration of trying to control the other person, possessiveness, jealousy. Extreme jealousy can of course be connected to Scorpio energy, and we don't have that as much anymore when it turns into the eagle. And then if somebody is ascended even higher, then it's connected to the phoenix, because the phoenix has burned everything away and rose from the ashes. It is transformation. So nobody can transform as much as people with strong Scorpio energy. And by Scorpio, I mean having a personal planet in Scorpio or in the 8th house, or maybe a connection between, in the birth chart, between Pluto and the sun, or Pluto and the moon, which are our strongest parts, of course. So those people, they have the ability to rise higher than any other sign, but on the other side, they can go deeper in the shadow than any other sign. So it's a double-edged sword, and it really is the extremes. There is no gray area. I mean, during ascension, of course, you don't go from dark right to light. There is a way through the gray, right? But usually Scorpio energy, it's very black and white. So twin flames, they're known to go through a massive awakening and ascension period after they have met. And since Pluto is the planet of healing and transformation, and I wrote death here because in Tarot, Scorpio is connected to the death cards. That is constant cycles of death and rebirth, and cycles ending in order for a new cycle to start. So it is no surprise that a Pluto aspect caused this major development. Yeah, what triggers the massive awakening? It's the other person comes into our life. There is a Pluto or 8th house contact, and boom, journey starts. So Pluto represents polarity, and the 8th house is the house of depth or deepest possible emotions. As a planet of extremes, it could be either hatred or the deepest possible love. You know, if one of your personal planets falls into the other person's 8th house or vice versa, it really can go either way. There are other factors that are important, and I'm going to talk about these factors in this video. So as the planet of soul contracts in past lives, Pluto or the 8th house connections can cause love or attraction at first sight. Yeah, because you have the feeling, consciously or subconsciously, knowing this person from a past life, and there's this instant connection there. But again, it can be love, but it can be attraction. Pluto is also connected to sexuality, of course, but that could be in a karmic connection as well. So in karmic connections, often we are very sexually attracted. If it's a romantic connection, of course you can have a karmic connection to a parent, a sibling, a friend, or anyone, basically. So it doesn't mean that you have a sexual connection, of course, to those people, but we're talking more about the romantic kind of connections. So this should already make it evident that Pluto connections can be either highly karmic or true love and friendship. But yeah, I just said it, you know, just because somebody's moon, for example, is falling into a 8th house or vice versa, doesn't mean that you are lovers. It could be a parent, it could be a child of yours, it could be a friend of yours. They should also highlight that we often find 8th house or Pluto connections in twin flame and in karmic relationships. Yes, both. So just because your personal planet is in the other person's 8th house or vice versa, or you have a connection between Pluto and somebody's personal planet, does not automatically mean you're twin flames, because remember, it's the dark and the light, it's the extremes. It can be either way. So make sure you watch this entire video so you can have more information about what would hint it's more karmic and what would hint that it is actually more divine counterpart or a divine connection. You know, it doesn't have to be a twin flame. It could also be a catalyst connection. A catalyst connection would feel very much like a twin flame. They come, you have this massive transformation. So they're kind of like in between a karmic connection and a twin flame connection. A karmic connection usually stays stuck in these cycles, and there's no real evolution happening inside of you, and you just stay in victim mentality, blaming the other person. A catalyst comes and you overcome that. They come to bring you healing, but not for union. But a twin flame comes for the healing and the union. So there's the difference. So you probably heard many people say, yeah, I encountered a twin flame. It probably, there was some kind of Pluto connections. That is why it was that intense. But then I grew out of it. Then it was most likely not a karmic. If they really developed, then it was most likely a catalyst, to prepare them for a divine counterpart. That could be a twin flame or a soulmate or any kind of divine counterpart. Just to prepare them, to get all of the blocks out of the way, to finally be able to attract true love. And that would be, a catalyst connection. That, again, very, very often can be confused with twin flames. So if you hear somebody say, yeah, I used to have a twin flame, but I could get over them, then it was not a twin flame, it was a catalyst. Pluto connections may be the biggest reason why both connections often get confused with one another. So the twin flame and the karmics. So this is not too much about catalysts. I just gave you the explanation of catalysts. Again, very much like a twin flame, you have the intensity, but unlike a karmic connection, there is development. But once you have done your part and you have done the healing, then you would separate with that person. And by separate, I don't mean that you were together as a couple and then separate, but you would lose your romantic interests, feelings for them, and you will make peace with them, and they may be still part of your life as a friend, or they may not be part of your life. So that's the difference between a twin flame. Pluto and 8th house connections can also cause obsession. And this can often be found at the beginning of a twin flame journey, but also in karmic relationships. Don't worry when I say beginning, because I already hear in my mind some of you say, well, beginning. It's been like 4 years. The beginning phase, it's not set in stone. It's like, oh, this period takes like 3 months and then that. It's very individual. If you didn't manage to really address your inner work and healing, then most likely it's not a true twin flame, because in a twin flame connection, you're very much pushed to do your healing, and you step out of this victim mentality pretty fast, pretty early on, probably within the first year. I know, again, many of you say, well, 1 year is a long time. No, it's not when you are in a true twin flame journey. But in a karmic connection, you just stay in this obsession for a long time, because again, Pluto connections can be extremely obsessive, and you feel a strong bond because your deepest emotions get triggered. Since Pluto and the 8th house connections can make it hard to get over someone, karmic, right? And we may have to think about that person all the time. Many confuse these connections with twin flames. Many think, oh, there's running and chasing, there's abusive behavior, they're not available, that must be a twin flame. No, it's most likely a karmic connection if there is no strong evolving, you step from the distorted energy into the divine energy, like from the distorted feminine into the divine feminine, or masculine, of course. And the divine feminine, she's the empress or the high priestess. She's not the victim of anyone. Her happiness doesn't depend on another person, because she's learned my happiness depends on myself and only on myself, and I don't need anyone to be happy. I'm already happy. And this is the energy to attract in the other person. So this is the difference. If you are, or anybody is still in hating the other person, I've read so many comments, thank God, on my videos, oh, this person, they're not coming, they chose to stay with their karmic, they can F themselves now, I don't like them anymore, they're evil and they're doing this and that to me. Of course, I mean, it's evident, no divine energy, no divine feminine would ever talk about like that. That's not divine, that is very much distorted energy. So if you are stuck in this energy for a long, long, long time, it is most likely, well, a karmic. When I say most likely, I would like to change that to definitely, if there has been no progress in a long time. Also because karmic connections as well as twin flame connections can have a very strong sexual magnetism. Yes, one of the reasons why twin flames are definitely romantic. Some people confuse twin flames with other kind of strong soul connections that can also create the instant soul recognition, the strong bond and the strong emotions. But that could be a friendship connections, like a soul twin. It's very intense connection, usually more harmonious. And those could be relatives, for example, or friends. whereas a twin flame connection, that is strictly romantic. But is there a way to determine if a connection is more likely karmic or a twin flame connection? Yes, there is. One simple test is to ask oneself, is the other person toxic or abusive in any way? If so, it is not a twin flame connection. Because a twin flame is a divine counterpart. We're talking about divine energy. Of course, there may be distortion in the beginning, but not that kind of distortion. In order to attract a divine counterpart, you already have dealt with most of your shadows, or maybe not most, but the deep-rooted stuff. So if you have been, for example, abused as a child, like physically abused, you were hit, and you have not healed with that, and you would attract somebody to hit you again, in order to tell your conscious mind, look, there is a topic within me that needs to be healed. I keep attracting the same over and over and over again because it's not healed. Then it would not be a twin flame. You would have dealt with that biggest shadow, because when you attract a twin flame, they would not hit you, but you can only attract whatever you vibrate. So if you have hitting still in your frequency because it's not healed, then of course you cannot attract a divine counterpart. So a twin flame may hurt you by not giving you what you need. So if you have fear of abandonment, they won't give you stability and commitment until you have healed that fear that blocks the connection. Yeah. So they may ghost you. So this is what hurts. I always say that a twin flame connection, you project your needs onto them. I need them to be there for me. I need them to tell me they love me. And they don't do that because, a mirror can only show you what's in front of it. So if you're not in self-love, how possibly could they show you how amazing you are? They do in the beginning, of course. The beginning phase is often very harmonious. That's essential. Because imagine you attract somebody and they would trigger you from day one. There wouldn't be a day two. But your soul wants that. Your soul wants you to open up so that they can push your buttons. So this journey, this healing journey starts. They come to make you aware. Look, there is fear of abandonment, and I trigger that by not being there, so you can take care of that. They come and they don't tell you how amazing you are, or that they don't want you, so you feel, okay, I'm not in my self-love, and you heal that. So this is what may happen. They may ghost you. Yeah, they have to. If there's fear of abandonment, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. You still have that fear that you haven't dealt with. It's not their fault. It's your responsibility to heal that so that they are able to show you something else. I always say, if you eat unhealthy and you get acne, it's not the fault of the mirror to show you acne. It doesn't help to yell or be mad at the mirror. You have to deal with that. You have to change your diet so your skin clears up, and then the mirror can show you that. So this is what may hurt in twin flame connections, but they don't actively abuse you. So if you have unhealed self-worth issues, they may tell you, I don't love you, or I don't want to be with you, or something similar. Also, they may not choose you when they're still in another relationship, the karmic, and I say karmic in quotation marks, because for the other woman, you are the karmic, right? You're the one who's trying to steal their person. So it's all perspective. But yeah, if that is the case, if they don't choose you, if they tell you, I don't want you, they mirror your own lack of self-love, and they cannot mirror you anything else until you have dealt with that. So this will and can only change once you have worked on your self-love and learned to choose yourself and treat yourself accordingly. But a twin flame or any kind of divine counterpart would never attack you and abuse you, either physically, emotionally, verbally, or sexually, of course. That's not divine energy. You see here the word divine counterpart. When we think about divine, we don't think about abuse. It makes no sense. Another thing you can ask yourself is, did I have a strong urge to heal my past, work on myself, and change things that make me unhappy? That could be friends that always suck your energy out. It could be a job. If it's your job to get into self-love and you do a job like 8 hours a day that you hate, you don't love yourself. You show the universe, I don't deserve to be treated well. I don't even treat myself well by doing something I love. All the time, every day, I do something I hate. So I don't deserve to be treated well. If you are in a true twin flame connection, all of a sudden you overthink everything and you start changing things. A true twin flame or a catalyst connection will lead to major change in your life soon after you meet. By soon after, I don't necessarily say like within the first couple of weeks and maybe several months, but not like 5 years in. You know, you will have the inner, it happens automatically. It just happens automatically. And I have many clients, I've experienced it myself, of course, and many clients, they say, oh my god, my twin flame came, and first of all, it was chaos, because I just noticed how unhappy I was with my job, how unhappy I was with my friends, and I was unhappy about this. You know, the dark night of the soul, it's a vital part to show you, look, you have not been treating yourself well, you've been giving your power away, and you've been doing things that harmed you, and now it's time to claim responsibility and to think about, what do I want to do with my life, what makes me happy. So if you have been stuck in karmic cycles and in the energy of blaming the other person for your sadness, anger, or anything, and if your life didn't drastically change for the better after the dark night of the soul, again, I said, it may first get dark, okay? They come, and it's not like all bliss. It's not like they come and you decide, oh, I'm going to do another job. There is crisis first for a period of time. Yeah, it's called the dark night of the soul, because you get aware of all the things that you've not been looking at. You know, you've been dragging your butt to a job you hated, for example, and it was okay, and you didn't think to change it, even though you were unhappy. And then your twin flame comes, and all of a sudden you're forced to think about these things. Of course, it doesn't feel happy from the very beginning, you know. But if it's like a karmic cycle, then you don't think about, oh, I need to change my work. You're obsessed about the other person, like, oh, they're not there. Why they're still there karmic? Why they're not here? Why do they treat me this way? You know, it's this obsessive being stuck. Whereas in a true twin flame connection, yeah, it will change for the better. By the better, I mean, yeah, crisis first. Let's take the job, for example. You hate your job and you get really, really aware, and the inner, like, repulsiveness of that job, having to go there anyway, it's growing, so it does not feel good. But then all of a sudden it shifts, and you make the decision, okay, I'm going to do something else now. I always wanted to do XYZ, and now I'm going for that. So this is what I mean. It changes for the better, because you do change things, and the middle part, it may be messy and icky and painful, but once you have done the change, it is for the better. So yeah, and if your life didn't drastically change when they entered your life, they're not your twin flame, but a karmic. But is there a way to find out if the Pluto or 8th house contact in Synastry hints more at a twin flame connection or a karmic? And it's another yes. Who would have guessed? So if you already get some value out of this content so far, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. It is part 14 out of a series. Make sure you watch the entire series to gather more information. I'm trying to do this in a way that even beginners of astrology can learn something. Also, if you're interested in your own astrological and you and your twin flames charts, you can contact me. Also, if you want personal coaching because you have been on this journey for a while and you want to have another breakthrough, contact me and I'm sure we can figure it out. But let's get on. So Pluto or 8th house connections in Synastry. When one person's personal planet, in this case mostly the moon, the sun and Venus, I know usually you say sun, moon, but the moon is the most important part of us. That's why I wanted to do it first, especially in relationships. The moon is the most vital part. It is our emotions, it's the core. Some astrologers, and I'm one of them, say 50% of our personality is our moon sign. It's vital, so vital. But anyway, so in this case, mostly moon, sun and Venus falls into the other person's 8th house or is forming an aspect to the other person's Pluto. It is felt as a very intense connection. To determine if this connection is more likely a strong soul connection, like a divine counterpart, or a karmic, we need to look at certain factors. One of these factors is to see what kind of aspect Pluto forms to the other person's personal planet, moon, sun, Venus. Is it a positive or a negative aspect? Positive aspects would be conjunctions, trines, and sextiles. You said, I wrote careful here. Pluto conjunctions can be extremely extreme. Yeah, they can be felt very, very intensely. So you kind of need to have other positive factors to even that out a little bit. You need some, for example, my twin flame and I, we do have a Sun Pluto conjunction. It's a 0-degree conjunction, which means my Sun in Virgo at 9 degree is exactly conjuncting his Pluto at Virgo 9 degree. Perfect conjunction. But his moon is trining my Sun. Also, my Sun is trining his moon. No, I just said the same, right? His moon is trining my Sun and my moon is trining his Sun. We have 2 Sun-Moon trines, which is one of the most harmonious aspects you could have. Very, very harmonious. So we do have this conjunction, and again it's at 0 degrees, so it's a very strong conjunction. Also we have his moon in my 8th house, but mine, thank God, is in his 7th, which is another extremely harmonious aspect. It can be really a bit much, so please make sure what other stuff you have going on that would say, okay, this is extremely harmonious. Trines are the most harmonious aspects of all, and sextiles are basically half trines, so they're not as strong as trines. But trines, if you have like Pluto trines, congratulations, because Pluto again is transformation, healing, and a trine is flowing, so it is helping each other. You know, the Pluto person is helping the other person, healing whatever aspect they have. You know, if it's Venus, it's connected to their love life. If it's Mars, it could be healing when it comes to their sexuality. Mercury when it comes to their thinking. But both really benefit from that, and it is flowing, so it's easy. It's of course in twin flames it's not always like completely easy, but it's the softest aspect you can have that brings you healing. Whereas a conjunction, it can be like, you know, the sledgehammer, you could say. So yeah, we do have one here. We have one person's Pluto, and I forgot to write here, let's say this is a person's A birth chart, and then Pluto's person B, and then it is person's A Venus. So there is a trine. A trine is approximately 120 degrees apart. You see it's going from Capricorn, it's an earth sign, to Virgo, which is another earth sign. So it's going from earth to earth, and that is what makes trines that flowing, because earth energy gets each other and they are good fit. You know, Taurus here would be the other one. If it would be here, it would also be a trine, because it would go from earth to earth. Also, of course, it could go from air to air, or here air to air, fire, water, of course, because it's the same element. It's a little bit different, of course. Virgo is not the same as Taurus or Capricorn, but earth signs intuitively get each other. So this is why this is very, very, very harmonious. And I said it earlier, here it's Pluto and Venus, which means both can heal something when it comes to love. Love language is their expression of love. Negative aspects would be opposition, squares, and the quincunx. So here again, imagine this chart would be person's A chart, person's B Pluto, and then person's A Venus. Here we have a square. This is like 90 degrees apart. So we got Capricorn and the Libra. So this would be more a karmic connection, because squares in itself is karma. Pluto is one of the planets of karma. I said it earlier, it can be past lives. The planets of karma can be the South Node, Saturn, and also Pluto can hint at karma. And if we have one of the planets of karma forming a karmic connection to the other person's Venus, we have basically, the karmic aspect of Pluto highlighted then, and not the transformative aspect. So this is blocked. This aspect blocks any transformation when it comes to Venus. But still, we do have the obsession. We do have the love, or I kind of like want to say attachment and obsession at first sight, maybe lust at first sight. So it's a very intense connection when we've got Venus, you know, the love planet, and Pluto, extremely intense, but in this case karmic. But a positive aspect, like a trine, could be turned into a negative aspect if there is another aspect linked to that planet. What do I mean by that? You see here. I here wrote A, B, and A. Okay, so this is person's A, Pluto. And then that is forming an aspect to person's B, Venus. But this now is forming, this is a trine, flowing positive. But now we have Saturn, person's A, Saturn, blocking Venus. And Saturn is another karmic planet. But it could be any. It could be the sun blocking this. So now this would have been good. But now it is a bit watered down. It's not as bad as the square, because we do have a trine involved, but based on other factors, you need to see other factors. This could be blocked, and then it is more likely karmic, unless you have many other things going on that would say no, it's still a very transformative connection. Because remember, you have two Plutos. This is just person's A, Pluto, but person B has a Pluto as well, so we have to check both Plutos, of course, what is going on here. This could also be a connection that is bringing some kind of transformation due to the aspect between Pluto and Venus, a positive aspect, but still be a connection that does not get off the ground, because Saturn is commitment and this is blocked. It's blocked between Saturn and Venus. So it could be, for example, a kind of a catalyst connection. You have transformation, but not commitment. So in this case, the positive trine between Pluto and Venus, transformation and healing and love, would be blocked through the Venus-Saturn square. For that reason, we need to look at many factors and see the synastry chart as a whole to determine if the connection is more karmic in nature or if it may be a divine counterparts. So here we have 8th house stuff. I know this dot is bigger. Somehow it didn't want to become smaller. So this is the chart of person A, and person's B moon is and person's A chart. This is another thing my twin flame and I have. His moon in my 8th house. Thank God we have my moon in his 7th, which is one of the most harmonious aspects. So harmonious it could actually be boring if you don't have stuff like this going on. So when a person's personal planet, especially the moon, why I already said it, the moon is our most vulnerable side. It is our hidden emotions. It is the biggest part of us. So if that falls into the other person's 8th house, yeah, the deepest hidden emotions come to the surface. We get triggered. Remember, the 8th house is the deepest house. It's the house of depth. It's the house of emotion and the hidden, the occult, our fears and shadows. And now our moon, our most vulnerable aspect, falls into that. Of course, that creates a very intense bond, very intense bond. And it's another one of the love at first sight factors or connection at first sight factors. This can be true love or pure hatred or fear. Both people can undergo a massive transformation when this is the case, especially the moon person. Both can see and accept each other's dark sides, bring them to light, heal and transform them, and yeah, especially the moon person. So this would not be... It is not uncommon for twin flames that one person's sun, moon or Venus falls into the other person's 8th house. This is the most intense, along with one person's Pluto connecting to the other person's moon. So this is extreme intense emotion that is felt on a very deep hidden side of us. You know, it's connected to past lives, of course, as well. For that reason, it is important to see if there are other factors in the synastry chart that harmonize the connection. Otherwise, it could be too intense. It could be too much. It could be an overburden. But remember, twin flame connections are harmonious. They don't come to like punish you. They come to give you or show you your shadows, but also to overcome them. So harmonizing factors could be a sun, moon, or Venus placement in the other person's 7th house. Already mentioned that. Also, 1 or 2 sun moon trines would be extremely harmonious. Also, trines between Venus and moon. Why? I already told you, you know, trines usually go from one sign in one element to another sign in the same element. In this case, we had like from Earth going to Earth, which is the most harmonious ones. And when we have Venus involved and the moon, that of course is extremely good. Sun moon is also not common in uncommon in twin flames, that they have sun moon. Yes, I wrote trines, but I want to say conjunctions as well. Trines and conjunctions. My twin flame and I, obviously we have this 2 sun moon trines, but we see that very often that there might be sun moon conjunctions. And I would like to remind you of the first video of this series where I was talking in depth about that, about the conjunctions or having one sign. Very, very, very common. So that the sun moon we would like to see, especially because the sun is also representing the masculine energy and the moon the feminine energy. And it's even better when the sun is the male, the masculine, and the moon person is the feminine in this connection, because the sun is more protective of the moon energy or more supportive of the moon energy. You know, the masculine that is trying to protect his feminine, not that she needs protection because she is divine, we know that, but it is the typical energy, the masculine giving to the feminine who is receiving. So these harmonious factors take a little bit of the edge off when it comes to the intensity. Remember, twin flames are life-changing, transformative and healing, Pluto, but also extremely harmonious in nature. Remember, dark night of the soul will happen if it's a split twin flame. Not so much when it's a monadic twin flame, because then you already have dealt with your shadows. If you're now wondering what she's talking, split twin flame, monadic twin flame, I have more videos on that. You can check that out. I just very recently in the Twin Flame 101 playlist I was talking about how twin flames are created. There talk more in depth about that, what's the difference between split twin flames and monadic twin flames. But yeah, so there may be something like ghosting, of course, if you have unhealed abandonment issues, but they would not be toxic, and they are, especially once those shadows are healed, extremely harmonious and loving and blissful, you could even say. So of course that would be mirrored in the Synastry chart and also in the composite chart as well, of course, that there is very extremely harmonious factors. So yeah, here we do have the moon in the 8th house, but now we have it squaring the sun. So this would again be more a karmic connection. This deepest emotions, deepest intensity, but also I told you fear, oppressed fear can come to the surface. And if you have positive stuff, for example, his Pluto is conjuncting my sun, but at the same time his moon is trining my sun. And the same thing we have here. We have his moon in my 8th house. My sun is trining his moon, which means I support his energy, I support his healing. But here with a square it's blocked, and it can be an ego clash. You know, if it would be here, then it would be a trine. That's what my twin flame and I have. Well, it's not in Scorpio. It's in Capricorn. His moon is in Capricorn in my 8th house. But if it would be here, extremely harmonious, shows you, yes, there is development, there is healing, there is support in healing. Here the support, it is blocked. This is karmic, because most vulnerable placement, very intense, and then we do have karma on top of it. So of course the 8th house, that is, remember, the darkness and the light, it is both, it's the extremes. In this connection the darkness is highlighted because of the square. If it would be here, if it would be a trine, then the light side of the 8th house would be activated. But like this, it's the dark side of the 8th house activated. So karma instead of transformation. So it's the Scorpio instead of the Phoenix. If we have a personal planet in someone's 8th house and this is squaring one of the other person's personal planets, it would also be a hint at a karmic connection and not a twin flame connection. Especially if it would be Sun, Moon or Venus. One Pluto square, if it's not with the Moon or Venus, can be overcome if there's multiple positive aspects like trines to trump them. So don't freak out if you say, oh my god, we have like one Pluto square. It's okay if you have a lot of positive stuff. But be careful with several negative squares or 8th house connections that form squares to other planets, because then the karma is way bigger, the karmic side, and not the divine counterpart side, the transformative side. But I would like to point out that you can still manifest this beautiful connection if that is what you want. And in the Twin Flame 101 playlist, I have a video that is called something like, can I turn a karmic into a life partner? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. You can manifest union with the person of your desire if you simply do the shadow work. And my twin flame videos can teach you how. I do have manifesting videos, check those out. But again, don't worry, this is kind of like a blueprint, but you can change things. And even if it is not your twin flame, it can still be the partner you spend the rest of your life with. So never worry, okay? So I hope you liked this video. If you did, subscribe for more information on the subjects, because there will be more videos like this. I think I'm going to record pretty soon one about the vertex and about the nodes. I'm not sure in which sequence I'm going to do that, but those are videos, for example, that are coming up. So make sure you won't miss them. Watch the anti-series if you want to learn more about overcoming your karma. Check out the Twin Flame 101 playlist, especially if ghosting or something like this is an issue. I do have videos on that, what you can do to end ghosting. And if you need a little bit more help, then you can reach out for personal coaching. And I do see you in another video or in a personal coaching. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I wish you all the best. Now, bye-bye.